equivalent to billions of dollars in today's money, was handpicked out of the soil, one panful at a time. We used to be a runner for the capital of California, because before people had settled along the coast and the transportation systems and electrification, we had hundreds of thousands of people in our county. We were a thriving timber industry, marble industry, brick industry, gold industry. The only thing we didn't have was a slow waterway. If you can't get a roof over your head, and part of that's local, part of that's state, how are you going to be able to build a life, have a family, and stay there? So that's what really got me to run. Those that show up make the rules. You have to participate. If you don't participate, the system isn't going to listen. You have to make yourself heard.
Welcome to the Good Government Show, and you're about to listen to a really fun conversation. First, because my conversation with Tuolumne County Supervisor Jardon Brandon, it's going to take us back to the Old West, to the time of the California Gold Rush. So, we talk gold mining. Because in 1849, when those 49ers were racing in California, they created gold rush towns, and many of them in Tuolumne County, they're still there. In fact, the Old West is still alive and well in Tuolumne. There's old ghost towns. A stagecoach still rolls through downtown Main Street. The old swinging doors still open in the bar, and you can still pan for gold right in that river and ride a horse up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. As you might imagine, growing up in a place like this leaves an impression. And like many people, Jaron went away to college. He went to a big city, in his case, San Francisco, but it just wasn't home. So he returned to Sonoma and discovered that while he wanted to come back, the town wasn't quite welcoming. Being young, he wanted to make a difference, and he wanted to make the path easier for others like him. So he decided to do something about it, particularly dealing with the problem of affordable housing. He ran for office. And today, he's an active county supervisor, and he's out in the county and he's meeting the people he serves. Look for him in his yellow hat. He'll explain. So let's meet a young man who gives you some hope that the new generation of leaders is getting active in local politics, and in an old gold mining town, who knows what riches lie ahead. And I'll be back with a conversation with Jardon Brandon right after this. The Good Government Show is sponsored by NACo. That's the National Association of Counties. County government is actually the oldest form of government in the United States, and it touches more people directly. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water and sewers. In most of the country, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government. NACo is a nationwide organization that represents all 3,069 counties across the USA. NACo helps county government work better together through things like sharing best practices, because when county government works well, that's just good government. Welcome to a conversation with, today's conversation is with Jardon Brandon. Tell the folks your name, your title, and where you're from.
Dave, thanks for having me. My name's Jardon Brandon. I'm the District 5 County Supervisor in Tuolumne County, so that's the Yosemite area of California.
So this must be fairly beautiful country.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I have the pleasure of representing this Gold Rush district, 2 state parks. We're talking about old school 1850s, 1870s saloons and iron doors and brick buildings, and I think it's one of the most beautiful communities to live in.
Are they still there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have most of the businesses in many of the towns, they actually dress up old-timey stuff. I got a stagecoach that goes by my house.
A real stagecoach?
I know it sounds like I'm kidding, but I'm not.
It's a real stagecoach?
A real stagecoach.
How's the ride?
It's good, but you might get robbed on the way. So.
Are there still a lot of banditos in your neighborhood?
There's some outlaws out in the sticks there.
And I'm assuming we're talking about Old West recreation kind of stuff.
Yeah. So beautiful area, Gold Rush town, and then on the other side of the county, the 120 up Yosemite.
What's a Gold Rush town?
So we had the 1849ers, 49ers, right? We had all of these people from Europe, from South America, from China. It was one of the most diverse areas of the world. They came there seeking their fortune, and as we were just talking about, another with the musical background.
Yes.
Bring a Broom was one of the musical specials. The idea was there's so much gold in California, you don't need a pick, you need a broom. And so they came out to seek their fortune in the gold fields for what was called the Mother Lode Quartz Vein.
Right.
And this is the Mother Lode area of California. So they settled these towns, they burned down, they rebuilt them, and then they burned down again. And then they're like, well, we probably should do brick and iron. And a lot of them were lost, but these ones were restored and maintained. So that's why we call it Gold Country and the Mother Lode.
Was there actual fortunes made in your town back in the day?
Equivalent to billions of dollars in today's money was handpicked out of the soil, one panful at a time. Actually, the largest nugget, and don't fact check me on it, it might just be like third or fourth now, was pulled out of a mine pit that's within my district, and it's now at Ironstone in the county next door. And so we're talking about huge amounts. But of course, back then you might take an ounce of gold dust in, and you could buy breakfast at one of the saloons. And so a lot of people made their fortunes. A lot of times it was not the miners, it was the shop owners.
The shop, Levi Strauss, that's that sort.
Yeah.
Did your family come out there at that point? I mean, how far back do you go in the district?
Oh, I'm ashamed, not very far.
Okay.
So I'm the first one actually born there. We're a place that definitely has a lot of people. They're going to say 6th, 7th generation, living in the county. My dad came from El Cajon. My mom came from, I think some part of LA there. So they were both city kids, and they just loved the area. It was, 60s, 70s, and they had lived there a long time, but they weren't native.
Are there still folks out there who go out up in the hills with a pick and shovel and a pan?
Oh yeah, I'm on one of the side things I do. I'm on the Tuolumne Mining District Board, which actually represents independent gold miners. So we got about 400 within the county that go up to BLM lands. They have claims, and they still make good money. They do all kinds of hard rock, placer gold mining. That's just a little tiny bit.
Are we talking about, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars or millions of dollars here?
Probably not millions.
Yeah.
We're talking, some people go out, it's a hobby. They just go pan the streams.
Yeah.
They got a camp. It's a good excuse to go out and hang out with some friends, have some beers. We've got ones that they actually tunnel into the rock. But
you can go out there in California, in a river, with a pan, and you can pan for gold, and you'll find it.
Yeah, and you can get a claim on federal land, dig a mine into the mountain.
Have you done it yourself?
No.
Why not?
I'm there as a public rep to help them out.
Okay.
With a confusing claim system, but there are ones that bring in equipment, get the permits and everything, and they probably pull out tens of thousands of dollars worth of gold on some of the trips. So it's lucrative. If not, they're going to retire on it.
I had no idea you could still pan for gold.
There are thousands and actually just elected is a very prominent mining activist with the American Mining Rights Association. I'm going to shout out to Shannon Poe in Mariposa County.
Okay.
He just took office about 2 months ago or a month ago, and he's a hugely prominent advocate for gold mining, independent gold miners, claim systems. Yeah. So we're out there. We're still existing.
Has anyone pulled a big chunk out of the mountains or the hills or the rivers lately?
They're not telling anybody. There's rumors that we had a giant pit mine, the one that pulled that giant nugget out.
Yeah.
It didn't exhaust itself. Its gold prices went down when South Africa found it, to the story as it goes. So they sold it all. But that motherlode vein, it keeps going. And so if they were to reopen it, now that is challenging in California, there's probably still billions down there, I bet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's expensive to get to. You got to go through a lot of rock to get to it.
Well, I'm sure all the easy stuff is long gone.
Yeah.
But I had no idea. You could still pan for gold to the river.
Yeah.
See, now I'm inspired.
Yeah.
As kids, did your buddies have friends that did that?
I did. Well, we were a little lazy. I'd go out with my mom actually, and we used the gold bug. That gold bug is a metal detector made for gold.
Okay.
We were not very successful.
Is it like the old guys on the beach?
It's exactly like that, but you're in an old dried up riverbed.
Okay.
And going over bedrock, and you find a lot of nails and stuff, but you find hopefully a little picker, they call them, a little nice nugget. And I think we just weren't very good at it. But it was a fun family time to go out. I could get the black sand, but I could never find the gold.
I know there are several of these. Are there old abandoned ghost towns out in your area?
Yeah. All around the area, Bodie's a very famous one, another state. We've got one that's called Chinese Camp. It is a living community, but parts of it are kind of old brick buildings that have been abandoned.
Right.
Columbia, which is one of the towns I represent, that's the main state park, 1850s, 1870s. By around 1930-40, it was falling apart. And, into World War II, metal was getting scrapped, things were getting torn down. The park came in and has invested probably, I bet over its years, hundreds of millions of dollars in keeping this an asset for our history. But a lot of them were lost. There were entire towns in my area. We used to be a runner for the capital of California, because before people had settled along the coast and the transportation systems and electrification, we had hundreds of thousands of people in our county. We were a thriving timber industry, marble industry, brick industry, gold industry. The only thing we didn't have was a slow waterway.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I can document that, but that's what we all believe, is we were second to Sacramento to be the capital at that time. Remember, only a few years before that, it's probably getting way into depth, we were Mexico. We were the state of Alta in Mexico. And so it was, it went from Mexico to a territory completely lawless. And then the sheriff coming in, state of California, with 200 appointed deputies to collect the
200.
200.
That's a lot of deputies.
To collect the first taxes. So maybe not enough. Apparently,
there were more than a few gunfights at the NACo corral.
He lasted a couple years, and I don't think we know what happened to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still a mystery.
I think it's a mystery. Yeah.
I could talk about this all day. You're compared to many county commissioners one meets, you're much younger than most guys. Mm-hmm. What got you involved at a younger age? Most people get into this after having a career. It seems like you just jumped in.
Yeah, I mean, I like helping people, and I was angry about housing. That was a huge issue. A lot of rural communities, the young people leave because of opportunity and they can't afford it.
Yeah.
We got some charts here at the conference, and you look at housing affordability in California, no county looks good. It's just this big wall of red, right? And if you can't get a roof over your head, and part of that's local, part of that's state, how are you going to be able to build a life, have a family, and stay there? So that's what really got me to run. It was a step up. It's to help people, but it was really the housing situation, and it's the issues that affect young people.
Why was that issue so close to you?
I couldn't find it. I rented. I came back after I think finding out what I didn't want to do. I worked in the Bay Area for a few years. It was just a job and situation and I didn't have a plan, but I'm looking for, with a college degree, with some good experiences, and I think a positive attitude, and I don't know.
San Francisco can't be a rough place to live, or is it? I don't know.
I was in Hunters Point.
Okay.
And Hunters Point's a little rough. That's where after the nuclear tests, not all the ships blew up.
Okay.
And they went and washed them off in Hunters Point.
Great.
So it's a little radioactive.
All right. Good, healthy environment.
But the rent was better.
I bet.
So that was fine. When I came back, that was the biggest thing that I personally faced, and I found out, wow, everybody up there, nobody can find a rental, nobody can find a house, and it's this systemic problem that is not just an issue of people don't want to live there or build. It's the policies, it's the zoning, and it's a rabbit hole. California housing policy and property policies you could dive into and make a career of, and it's fascinating, and I'm fascinated by it.
Is it? Now that you've jumped into it and read more about it, and I'm sure gotten way more familiar with it than many people, does it make sense?
As it is?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No. Nothing makes sense. No, nothing makes sense about it.
What needs to happen?
I think what has to happen, there's a few third rails within California politics that really do hold back housing. And which one, the state decides to target and work on is really difficult. They've taken a lot of steps to try and move into local control on zoning and planning, but it's not just an issue of money. We've seen money thrown at problems over and over, and it doesn't fix it. What has to happen is the state has to work with local jurisdictions that want housing, and they got to do whatever it takes. Sometimes it's infrastructure, sometimes it's roads, sometimes it's development advice, sometimes it's rewriting policies that are 10, 20 years old because we don't have enough staff to be able to handle it. I think a lot of times there's this punishing relationship. State sets a goal, we don't hit it, you're going to bring down the stick on us. And it's not always asking what do we really need. And we do live in a state where it's very urban managed. We work very well with our urban county partners, but where 38% of the legislative power is in Los Angeles, and I represent a county of 55,000 people that is politically small, but has every right to exist the same as any other community.
Sure.
It is very hard to get rural issues to the table. So I know I didn't give you like a silver bullet. There is no silver bullet.
No, I'm sure there isn't. All right. Well, listen, I want to get into, we have a questionnaire here and I want to get your thoughts on some of these questions. So what is good government to you? When you sit as a county supervisor, how do you define good government?
To me, good government, I think in its basic level, they're good stewards of resources, but it goes beyond that. It's what's that Supreme Court case? It's I don't know what it is, but I know when I see it. I think
that was pornography.
Yeah, it's pornography. I didn't want to say it. I don't know what type of show this is.
It's okay.
I'm gonna bleep it out.
No.
No, it's looking at it. I think it really matters. The good government is what people believe is good government. That means you have to be transparent and communicative. And I think the reason we see so many pissed off people, frankly, right now is because they don't know how that system works. They don't know why these decisions happen. And so you can be good stewards and you can make wise and logical decisions. But if we want to rebuild trust in government, and there's a huge crisis in that, we have to rebuild the relationship with the public. And that, to me, is what good government is.
How do you know if you're being effective? What do you use as your personal yardstick when you self-assess? How do you know if you're doing a good job?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Well, you're a young guy and you've only been
for a team sport too.
Yes,
right.
Well, you're a young guy and you've only been in for a couple of years, but hopefully you're aspiring to last longer.
I think you have a large vision of what you'd like to see done, and then you lay out kind of brick by brick things that maybe get you there. And there is no point where you're like, all right, I've succeeded.
I'm done. It's finished.
Right. We made it to the promised land. I think you just do good work, and you do one good thing at a time, and you do the best you can. That's all it is. It's one step at a time.
Other than voting you out of office, how should people hold you, the voters, and how should they hold you accountable? And not just the people that voted for you, but the people especially who didn't vote for you.
Yeah.
How should they hold you accountable?
Well, one, they should vote for me.
Okay.
For sure. That's my first advice.
Yes.
The second is they should give me a call. I'm somebody who's, again, I'm 31, I'm young. Of course, I'm going to be on social media and all that. I put up big signs. I wear a yellow hat that looks kind of funny so people can walk up and talk to me.
I would just like to add, you're not wearing a yellow hat.
Not right now. It's in my backpack.
Okay.
I always have it.
Okay.
Give me a call. So I'm one of the ones. I gave out my personal cell phone. I go to your house to go check out the potholes. If they have questions, I want them to at least be angry at the things that I did and not the things that I didn't do. And I want them to know the reasons that I did behind it. So give me a call.
If people feel like they're not getting good government from you, from the county, from any level of government, what should they do?
I think they should get involved. I think people would be surprised how few folks believe in themselves enough that would be competent, good people. But for one reason or another, too busy, or they don't like how rough it is, and it is rough.
Yeah.
They don't step up. They don't get onto a commission. They don't learn the process. And it'd be like trying to be a mechanic if you didn't understand how an engine worked. You have to get involved in that government. I'd say once you've been doing that, come to the board meetings, consider running for office, try to lead a project on your own, and not only look at us as something that's holding it back and stuff, but how can you help us first to accomplish what you'd like to see. And then at the end of the day, if it's not going that way, if there are real problems, you have to hold people accountable at the ballot box. You have to show up to the meetings. As we said in a long ago, I was doing club fund and stuff, those that show up make the rules. You have to participate. If you don't participate, the system isn't going to listen. You have to make yourself heard.
You touched on this a minute ago. You said government, this is a quote from you.
Yeah.
Government's rough.
Yeah.
What would you like people to know about government other than it's rough? And if it's rough, how is it rough?
I think it's really meaningful.
Yeah.
I get beat up all the time, but I wake up every day feeling really good about what I do because I get to, and I'm paid to do this. I do this full time. I get to help people professionally, and I get to help them with a broad umbrella of connecting with people or trying to solve problems. I get to walk around my community and see an issue and actually think, with the knowledge I've accumulated on this, the people I know, how can we solve this? And I might not get all those things done, but I can try, and a lot of them I can. That is so empowering because suddenly, you're not just frustrated by something, you're looking at this creative solutions process, which is really special. But it is really rough right now because,
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
What is it about government that's rough? What is it about government that you'd like people to know?
Yeah.
You said it's rough, but touch on that or whatever else. And what would you like people to know about how government works? If
you're doing it because you think it's easy, either one, you might not do a very good job and it'll be fine, but you're not there for the right reason. Or two, you're going to be surprised and you're going to get frustrated and quit. What I mean you got to be tough is you have to really believe in why you're doing it, because there are going to be people that shout horrible things at you. We live in this very toxic echo chamber at points, and many people don't know who you are. They don't know why you make these decisions. I have similar conversations 100 times over and over and over, explaining this stuff to try and do it. You have to really believe in what you're doing. If you believe in what you're doing, it's not so bad, but you have to be prepared that there are folks that will alternate between saying you are an anarchist to a communist to an un-American. You know, I had full page attack ads. I had a political action committee that formed against, and it's...
And if you could tell those people one thing, what would you tell them?
Which people?
Those people who took out a full page ad calling you an anarchist.
Do it again. I know that sounds silly, but
no. What would you tell them about about the work in government and that you're trying? How would you explain it to them?
How would I explain it to them? I guess I'd say I'm doing my best to it, but you have to learn also. A lot of people are frustrated because they just don't know, but a lot of those folks, you can't let the haters basically dictate what you're planning to do. There will always be people that are just purely negative, don't want anything to happen. And you can't let that cloud. What's that Colin Powell's quote? You can't let an adverse fact, or say let's an adverse opinion, get in the way of a good decision. You do the best with the people that you can persuade. You're open, honest, you do it for the right reasons. And if there are some that still hate you for it at the end, but you believe that what you did was the right thing, I mean, that's it. This is democracy, right?
Okay.
Everybody doesn't have to be happy, but you do have to, I think, listen to them.
So who's your political hero?
Oh, my political hero. I don't know if I have one. I know.
What did you?
I know that's supposed to be a softball question, too.
Well, I wouldn't say softball.
I like, if I had to pick somebody, and it's not a politician, I read the book Angry Optimist by Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart,
Comedy
Central,
the
Daily
comedian.
Show.
Yeah. Well, to a generation, where I think people losing faith, he took a comedy show and taught people government and how to get involved and how to participate, and in some ways did better than a lot of the talk shows that probably were really just, they were, as he went on, like Crossfire or whatever it was, this is political theater. This is a gamed system. So I love what he did. I know he would never classify himself as maybe that type of political figure or a news maker. He's a comedian, but he had a profound impact on the world that I really respect.
Well, we have never had Jon Stewart as an answer before, so let's stay with Jon Stewart as your political hero.
And John can call me too if he wants to.
I'm sure.
I'm inviting it.
All right, good. We'll let him know that you're available. I think he has a podcast as well. We'll see what we can do for that.
Great.
So you're from a part of California that's was once the wild frontier. What's your favorite dish in your town? What's your favorite regional food?
Ooh, favorite regional food. It's hard to beat a steak. Steak and a burger at our local places.
Yeah.
We had a lot of cuisine come in, but it's just good American food. Now, if I had to pick probably my most favorite place, it's got to be the St. Charles Pizza. It's 2 blocks from my house. It's in an old saloon, but it's a wood-fired pizza place. They got a pickle pizza there, which I know it's a controversial.
I'm from Brooklyn. You got to be careful.
Controversial statement, but it's the best pizza I've probably ever had.
What's a pickle pizza?
It's got white sauce. Obviously, it has pickles on it. I think it has. They're gonna get mad because I'm gonna get this incorrect. I think it's got some artichokes on it. It's a garlic ranch sauce. I don't know. I don't think about it too much.
It's like a salad on a white pizza.
Oh, it's delicious. Yeah.
Please tell me they have.
Take it any day over red sauce and pepperoni and all that. 100%.
Please tell me they have swinging doors in the front.
They do. Big old iron doors covering swinging glass doors. Yeah.
So does this whole place look like an Old West movie set?
Yeah, actually, hundreds of movies were done off the old steam locomotives and westerns and Columbia stuff. We're also famous for Back to the Future 3. Yeah. Most of that was filmed on sets in Tuolumne County using a lot of our engines. That train and
really?
Yeah, that's one of the highlights. But High Noon and a huge amount in the 40s to 70s, we were, besides Hollywood, where movies were made. We were the Old West.
All right. You touched on this a little bit, but, growing up, did you want to be a politician, the mayor, the president? You mentioned you were president of your high school student council, student government.
In college, at the university. No, I wanted to be liked and have fun. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't like, I'm going to be a politician or a veterinarian or anything. Went to high school, I had a girlfriend. It was a big, giant blow up. And I came to college and I'm like, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to get involved. My family's always been politically interested, but never active. They didn't really get onto those committees. I just wanted to be different. So I started doing voter registration, and basically everything up to what I'm doing right now, it's just been raising my hand when I see an issue, not being above a task, and then you do it and you see something above that, you're like, I could take that and apply it there. And it just kept moving up. That's all it's been.
Do you see a future for yourself in other elected offices?
I could.
Yeah.
I like the public sphere, but it doesn't have to be elected. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I go work on housing policy stuff, and I don't have to be in the hot seat. I can, be the one grilling them. That'd be fun too. But at the same time, we do need change. I think at the state, too much of it is through this partisan lens that makes it just frozen, or completely railroaded, where one side has the power. What's that, count to three on a board, right?
Yeah.
It's count to the majority. I think we got to get back to a point where we can kind of work together, but that takes some leaders that are willing to buck party trends a little bit and say, like, this is a good idea. And that's controversial right now. Working government is controversial right now.
Well, let's bring it back to working government. Give me an example of something you've been able to do in your first 2 years in office. Mm-hmm. That's a good example of good government in action.
Yeah, so we had let me give one really good example. We had a fire district and a volunteer company within my community, Columbia, very beloved district, worked so hard, but on a $70,000 a year budget, the chief made $600. And the situation just changed to where it was not sustainable anymore. They couldn't recruit people. There are avenues where counties are hard to districts, and they come in and they're the 800-pound gorilla. And what we did is we organized the community. We talked to them. We brought all the fire officials out. We answered whatever questions came up, 100-person town hall. And then we brought forward a proposal to bring fire protection to this coverage gap that is a partnership with the community with county funds that meets everybody's goals. We've got other examples working with the forest. This is not me specifically, but this is even to the people that I had run against but agree with on these principles. We continue as a team to protect people by trying to reduce wildfire risk, better forest management, and get environmentalists and public sector, federal, all the way down to local, and industry to work together on a group called Yosemite Stanislaus Solutions. And we've gotten, I think it's $50 million, something like that, in 2 years for fuel reduction, a master forest stewardship agreement, which means we got a track to work easily with federal lands, and we're making our communities safer. And a lot more work has to be done, but we're on the cutting edge of that as a rural county, and I'm really proud of that. So we've got a lot of big problems, but, it's just one brick at a time, right?
Yep.
These are good things.
All right, so if I come to your town,
yeah,
do I need to get my own gold pan, or can I pick one up out there easily?
Well, you can get a gold pan.
Good.
I think you might want a merchant outfit or an outlaw. They made more money.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's something to think. I got to pay it for gold. If I could do it, I got to try it. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I learned something. So,
David, pleasure to talk to you too. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Kutztown University is a smart choice for Pennsylvania students or students from anywhere looking for an outstanding college experience close to home and in the heart of Pennsylvania. With over 130 majors, KU has endless academic opportunities. Kutztown also offers plenty of on-campus housing, 24/7 dining options, comprehensive support services to ensure our student success, and so much more. Kutztown has 22 NCAA Division II sports teams and a nationally recognized men's rugby team. How about that? Plus, you get it all with the affordable tuition of a state university. So visit kutztown.edu on the web, kutztown.edu, and see why it's good to be golden. It's always encouraging to meet young county commissioners like Jardon Brandon. He got involved because he wanted to help improve his home. And of course, he and any visitors to Tuolumne County, well, they might just get rich. Just grab a pan, a shovel, a mining stake, and who knows? It worked in 1849, and it could work again. Hey, there's still gold in them thar hills. Who knew? So thanks for listening. I'm Dave Martin, and that was a conversation with Jardon Brandon. Join us next time for another conversation with another leader in government, next time on The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show and A Conversation With is produced by Valley Park Productions. Jim Ludlow, David Martin, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our editor and producer is Jason Stershic. This is The Good Government Show. Thanks for listening.